very good afternoon. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce the Norwegian Foreign Minister, Anniken Huitfeldt. Her statement will be followed by Asoka from the NGO working group. Anniken, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. It has been an honor to share the first formal Security Council meeting on threats and reprisals against women peace builders and human rights defenders. I would like to thank the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, and civil society representative, Ms. Yaftali from Afghanistan, and Ms. Asoka for briefing the Council today. Women around the world who participate in society and politics risk threats, not only for what they say, but for who they are. Women peace builders and human rights defenders risk even more, as violence and even targeted killing is all too common, totally unacceptable, and an obstacle to progress, to peace and security. In conflicts around the world, women are taking great risk to contribute to peace and security for the people of their country, because they know that to end conflict, to work effectively towards peace, women must be part of the process. Not because women bring with them some magical solution to end all wars, but because women bring different perspectives. And the more gender divided society is, the more different those perspectives are. We simply cannot afford to keep women out. The price is too high. We see it in Afghanistan, Yemen, Sudan, and Myanmar, where women peace builders and human rights defenders too often risk reprisals. Norway's aim today with today's meeting is to put this issue squarely on the agenda of the Security Council, so that we can move forward on our collective promise to let women participate without fear of reprisals. I would like to thank the members of the Security Council for engaging in this topic. And I would like to thank you, Ms. Asoka, for sharing your recommendations to this Council on how we better can protect women in conflict. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kaavya Asoka. I'm the director of the NGO Working Group on Women, Peace and Security. As Minister Huitfeldt has shared, we welcome the fact that this is the first Security Council meeting to address threats and reprisals against women peace builders and women human rights defenders in conflict situations. As a coalition, this has been our goal to support women's full, equal, and meaningful participation in peace processes. And today at the Security Council, we addressed one of the main obstacles to that goal being realized. So today I briefed the Council on how underreported and how little attention has been given to this issue, and how the failure to address it undermines not only the Security Council's obligation to ensure women's equal participation in all aspects of peace and security, but how it undermines its own work. We discussed two issues: the broader context for women human rights defenders in conflict zones, and the issue of reprisals against women's civil society, particularly civil society briefers at the Security Council. On the broader context, Afghanistan is, of course, a perfect example. Despite the Taliban's assurances to the contrary, we and the UN are daily receiving reports of restrictions on women's rights. Just yesterday, 36 independent experts at the Human Rights Council highlighted a wave of measures, such as barring women from returning to their jobs, requiring a male relative to accompany them, banning women from using public transport, as well as imposing strict dress codes on both women and girls. They have called this collective punishment of women and girls, and they echoed our concerns for women human rights defenders and journalists who are being harassed, threatened, and harmed, with many leaving the country, as well as reports of peaceful protesters often being beaten, ill-treated, threatened, and in certain cases arbitrarily detained. Myanmar is, of course, another example I shared in my statement today, where women who led protests against the coup have been targeted by the military, detained, tortured, and sexually abused, while the Security Council struggles to even discuss the issue in an open forum. We see the repression of women leaders and activists in many other conflict situations, and our message to the Security Council here today is that it needs to be clear that this needs to stop. It needs to stop both out there and in here. Over 200 women from 33 countries have briefed this council since 2004, and we know just from the women that we've worked with that about a third of them have faced reprisals after briefings, and that most of the perpetrators have been state actors. Member states play a key role in ending these attacks in conflict zones around the world and providing them with political support, but so can the UN. If Secretary General Guterres has pledged that women human rights defenders is going to be one of his key areas of focus over the next decade, we want to see senior UN officials regularly speaking out on this issue, peace operations regularly reporting on reprisals and providing urgent support to human rights defenders. We want to know who is being targeted, why, where, on what scale, and what the UN is going to do about it. Thank you.
Audrey, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Foreign Minister. Can you tell us what your takeaway is after listening to all the speeches this morning on what the Security Council should be doing and what the broader international community should be doing to ensure the rights of women and women human rights defenders?
In all peace processes, we should have women at the table to take part. That's number one. The other one is to involve women in all UN peacekeeping operations. And we'll also provide a program to assist human rights defenders so they can take part.
Madam Foreign Minister, if I can ask you a question about one of the other pressing issues of the day. Clearly, you are a NATO member, you have a border with Russia, and there is the tension surrounding Ukraine. We now hear that there's going to be a meeting between Secretary of State Blinken and Foreign Minister Lavrov in Geneva on Friday. How important is that meeting now?
It's very important to bring people to the table to talk. We believe in dialogue, and that's crucial important for all the NATO countries. And we invited to further dialogue last week, and I'm positive that this will continue.
Madam Minister, with regard to Afghanistan and Sudan, two different topics but share the same parallels. In Afghanistan, women are literally purged out of public life. How can the international community use the current situation, especially the economic hardship that the Afghanistan under the Taliban is going through, into trying to have a sort of behavior modification towards women? What are the measures that Norway and other member states can do at this point?
I think it's very important that we stay united when it comes to Afghanistan, to focus on women's rights, focus on girls' right to education. So that what we will be putting forward in the Security Council, the unity of the Council.
Okay, now we need to we're on.
Sudan, I have to finish I said Afghanistan and Sudan.
Yeah.
With regard to the Sudan, yesterday 7 died. Today there are more demonstrations taking place. Falling of fatalities is an ongoing. Where does the Security Council say, please, let's have a pause here, let's meet again and start to try to have a different situation on the ground? The military regimes across Africa, Middle East, Latin America, you name it, are not giving power and economic benefits easily. How can member states be a force towards another behavior modification?
In my capacity as a Norwegian Foreign Minister, we call for dialogue in Sudan. That's important. And then we will consult with other members of the Security Council whether or not we should put this on the agenda in the Security Council.
Minister Anniken Huitfeldt. Det Hvite Huset har sagt I ettermiddag at Russland kan komme til å angripe Ukraina når som helst, og at de ikke vet hvordan de vil svare. Hva din kommentar til det?
Ja, jeg veldig bekymret for denne situasjonen. Vi har vært opptatt av å samtale og samarbeide med andre NATO-land. Vi ønsker jo at Russland skal komme til forhandlingsbordet og snakke, og det positivt hvis det blir møter, men jeg veldig bekymret.
Hvor dramatisk situasjonen nå, synes du?
Det veldig dramatisk når 100 000 soldater står klare rett utenfor Ukrainas grenser. Det en trussel mot den sikkerhetspolitiske orden som vi har hatt I Europa de siste årene.
Du her I verdens mektigste rom I FNs sikkerhetsråd, men denne konflikten kan jo ikke sikkerhetsrådet egentlig gjøre noe med, fordi både Russland og USA vet, og hvordan føles det?
Ukraina har jo vært på dagsorden I Sikkerhetsrådet, men da med fokus på sivilbefolkningen. Men nå foregår jo samtaler I andre fora. Det har vært I NATO- og Russland-rådet, og det foregår også bilateralt. Men det vil jo åpenbart påvirke Sikkerhetsrådet, men det jo ikke her samtalene foregår.
Et spørsmål om det dere har gjort nå. Du har hatt et møte om kvinners rolle I internasjonale konflikter. Hva kom ut av det møtet som du har ledet her I dag?
Vi må ha kvinner til forhandlingsbordet, for man kan ikke skape fred der krig truer uten at kvinner med. Og det jo spesielt I samfunn hvor kjønnsforskjellene store, hvor det stor forskjell på kvinner og menn. Og så var det viktig å fokusere på Afghanistan, som alle medlemmer av Sikkerhetsrådet nå veldig opptatt av. Fokusere på jenters rett til utdanning, men også rett til beskyttelse.
Når du sitter ved bordet og leder et møte, føler du da at Norge har en helt annen stemme enn vi ville hatt utenfor Sikkerhetsrådet?
Jeg føler at vi har en veldig sterk stemme ved å gi FNs menneskerettighetskommissær ordet. Det lenge siden hun har hatt ordet der. Men også få representanter fra kvinneorganisasjoner til å snakke og fortelle om sine erfaringer. Og det jo annerledes enn en del andre FN-land inviterer til når de har formannskap.
Hvordan vil du følge situasjonen I Ukraina videre de neste timene nå?
Det følger jeg tett hele tiden, underveis I mitt opphold her. Vi jo veldig bekymret, og det var det jeg også snakket med når jeg møtte min albanske kollega, for det hun kjenner jeg fra NATO-sammenheng, så dette vi jo opptatt av hele tiden.